What's happening? What's happening? Brothers and sisters, kings and queens, grand rising, everybody. Nah, just playing. What's happening, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good, man. The draft is tomorrow.
Woo!
Could be more excited. It's like the day before Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, facts, bro. Facts. I'm actually very much looking forward to this too. But thank you all. You are now watching J.U.K Sports Show. Sorry for the heavy breathing. But I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my homies. But I got to give it to my co-host right now. What's happening, Kai? What's happening, Brody?
Yo. Welcome, everyone. What's good? Ralph G from the Shy. What's good? Tar Rogers from Philadelphia / Cali / Vegas. How's it going, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
I'm happy to be here. That's all I got. Man. That's my intro, Ralph. I'm happy to be here, man.
I feel it, bro. I feel it, man. And as you can see, if you got eyes, we got the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Tar Rogers, what's happening, Brody?
Man, I'm good, man. How y'all?
Hey, blessed, man. Blessed and highly favored, bro.
Love to hear it.
Life is good. Life is good. I don't know how I'm gonna feel around this time tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I might be taking everything Raiders and burning it like how Cavs fans felt when LeBron left the first time.
Man.
But we gonna see, man.
Yeah.
But before we get jumping, send a shout out to the sponsors. You want to do any podcasts like what you're watching, music videos, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer. And before we get to the draft, we're going to do mock draft, our final one, 3.0, Duke Boys finest. But as we talk about the finest, we got to talk about the finest quarterbacks in this draft.
Okay.
I'm gonna lead with this. Give me, because normally we do a top five, but we've pretty much everybody has about the same five. You might have a different person maybe at the back end than most people. So we're just gonna keep it at who's your favorite and who do you think will be the best.
Okay. Since we have a guest, Tar, you want to set it off?
Sure, for sure. So I think my favorite and who's going to be the best are the same. It's obviously for me is CJ Stroud. I think, I just think CJ Stroud he's the most NFL ready to me.
Yeah.
And especially when you look at that Georgia game, he answered every question that you needed to answer. The biggest thing was, well, he's not mobile. Well, you saw him use his feet. Well, he locks into wide receivers. He was able to distribute the ball equally and evenly. And he was really able to destroy that matrix that we know as a Georgia defense, right? Mm-hmm. So, to me, that's my favorite. I think he's going to be the best. But I want to kind of get into some like the underrated prospects because we already know about the top five. We know about Hendon Hookers. We know about the Will Levises. We know about these guys, right? These are some guys, for me, that aren't being talked about as much that should be. And when we start to kind of talk about the Brock Purdy's, like who's the Brock Purdy's, I feel like this is a year full of Brock Purdy's. The 6'1" smart guy that, may not have the best body in the world, but can win. And if your quarterback tends to go down, last year was the year of a backup quarterback. Like Skylar Thompson started a playoff game. And you're like, who the hell is Skylar Thompson, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to kind of start looking at these guys, right? So for me, the guy, one of the guys at the top of my list is Jaren Hall from BYU, right? So let me kind of run him down a little bit. He's a 6'1" guy. One of the biggest issues besides his height is his age, 25. He was Mormon. He went to BYU. So he went on a Mormon mission. So that's why he's a little bit older. But if you kind of run down his game and his credentials a little bit. So he was one of 3 FBS quarterbacks with 300 plus passing yards, 65% completion rate, 160 plus passer rating, 30 plus touchdowns, and fewer than 10 interceptions. He has a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And so the other 2 to do that was the guys that we're looking at next year, Caleb Williams and Drake May from North Carolina. So if you these are guys that we're comparing who are going to go first round next year, 1 and 2 next year. He was up there with them, right? But the only problem, like I said, is his age, his height. He did some good things at the combine. He runs about a good 4.5, 4.64. He was second on his team in rushing last year, right? So as a runner, he's comparable to a lot of Taysom Hill, right? As a runner, he's like a Taysom Hillish type of guy. Big bullish runner, can run you over, but he can also, complete the short to intermediate. I got him going anywhere between the third and the fourth, but he's a guy that can go into your game, right? And like a Skylar Thompson did last year, come in and do some good things in relief, right? I like him a lot. The next guy is Kai's favorite quarterback because I bring his name up a lot, Jake Haener. And no, he's not a High School Musical quarterback guy. He says he got a high school musical kind of name. But Jake Haener, when I think about Jake Haener, he's just a football guy. Like he has a high football IQ, right? He's a little guy, very, very little guy. He ended up winning the Senior Bowl MVP, and a lot of people made the joke at the Senior Bowl, like I thought he was a high school kid because he's so short. He's like little. He's a little guy. He's 6 foot. He's small, but and that's really what affects him. But if you look at his touchdown interception ratio, 4-1 still, right? In 2021, he should have went out from the draft because he had his best year beforehand with 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. This year, he was on that pace to do the same thing, but he ended up hurting his ankle and missed 4 games. But he was all Mountain West quarterback, very accurate guy. He's the Brock Purdy to me of this draft, right? He's the guy that can go in if your quarterback is injured and you need a smart guy that can get you through some games. He could be that, or he could be like the guy from the Cowboys when Dak went down. Same type of deal. You're not going to lose a beat. He's not going to throw a lot of interceptions. He's a very accurate guy. If you want a quarterback that's going to extend the ball deep, that's not him. He's not a very good deep ball thrower at all, but he's a short, intermediate, accurate passer. He's a guy that, for me, I think the Raiders end up getting in the 3rd, 4th round just because I know Raiders people have been all over him. He's worked out with Derek Carr in the past, and Devontae Adams has glowing things to say about him. So he's one of those guys to where he fits that Carr mode. Very smart, very accurate, knows the game. He's not going to blow you away with his athleticism, his feet in any kind of way, but he's the type of guy you put in, he's going to right the ship for you, and that's it. That's what you need, right? He's not going to lose you the game. He may not win you the game, but he's going to keep you in the game. So those are my 2 guys.
Okay.
All right, Kyle, who you got, man? Who's your favorite?
I agree with you on the best quarterback in the draft. So I'm not gonna dwell on that too much. I'm just gonna go with my favorite quarterback in the draft. And I'm gonna save the nickname what I was gonna call him because I don't want to. When I call him that, I don't mean it out of disrespect, but because I felt like he could potentially replace our quarterback. But I still don't even know what's going to happen on the draft. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. But I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson, and I know shocker. I'm picking Anthony Richardson as my favorite quarterback in the draft, guys, is because let's be real. Let's look at his ceiling. Like everyone knows it. It's the elephant in the room with all these teams and all that kind of stuff. I think if he goes to the right situation, like you always say, Ralph, like you always say, Tar, like going to the right situation, having a quarterback coach who believes in you, having a coordinator who believes in you, putting you in the right scheme, utilizing your physical tools that you do have. Obviously, he has a high IQ and all that kind of stuff. If you can get him in the right situation and surround him with some weaponry, I really think that Anthony Richardson we could see his ceiling. We talked about Malik Willis last year, right? Anthony Richardson, you're coming in a guy who has crazy, freakish athleticism. Period. We know that. Freakish athleticism, right? He ran a faster 40 time than Cam Newton, but in the open field, he's fast. He's big. They like his arm strength. People ooh and ah at the combine. Oh, look, it's people throwing, the wide open receiver. So it's like, how much stock do you take out of it? But the measurables, I think somebody is going to kind of fall in love with it, fall for it, et cetera, right? And so I just hope for his sake, because I would like to see him succeed, just not on my team, is if he could just be in the right situation. Because I started looking at his tape and I was like, I see it, but he's not consistent. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? That accuracy, I'm like, man.
Kai, real quick, speaking of your team, like Stetson Bennett, y'all drafting Stetson Bennett?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna draft him with the last pick of the draft. The last pick, like pick 199, they're picking him, man. I'm telling you, I feel it. I actually, some people say he should just go undrafted, which could possibly happen. They scoop him up, but you never know. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson. I'm gonna swing it to you, Ralph. But I just think his ceiling, if he can go to the right team and fix those, the mechanics and stuff like that. Let's see what you have out of it. Let's see what you can get out of it. There you go.
Yeah, I think y'all gave us some good names, man. I think like everybody knows I'm an Ohio State fan, so it's like I'm glad y'all brought up CJ and I didn't have to. But at the same time, I think that one of the things we got to talk about is this analysis is with certain players. It's if you are inaccurate or you're turnover prone in college. I just don't like. There's certain players like the Will Levises. Like I just don't get. Like I see it because it's like, oh, he has his arm, and like watching his 2021 tape, he was much better than 2022. But like,
how much is much better, right?
Right. You're turnover prone in college. You're all we talk about this arm, but it's like you don't show me touch. At the end of the day, so it's like. Then when I see you head to head, it's like, how are you jumping Hendon Hooker? And I see y'all head to head, and one person looked like the best player on the field, and the other one looked like, oh, this is supposed to be the person that could have been the number one draft pick. And I'm like, the numbers, the measurables don't add up.
Can I tell you why? I can tell you why. I can tell you why. Because you make certain comparisons to certain people, right? Mel Kiper has been comparing him to Josh Allen this entire process. Why? Because Josh Allen was broken in college, right? So you think because Josh Allen was broken in college, I can automatically fix this person, but you forget that there was a Jake Locker. You forget that there's other people like this, right? But it's literally how they hype it up on TV. Because I've covered Josh Allen in college, and I seen certain things, but it was the type of offense dude was in. He was in a spread offense to where it's like you can fix that and work with that. And Josh and Will Levis is in a pro style offense where you got to make certain reads on the back foot, and he's comparing them to.
Right.
And he's like, well, if he could get fixed, so can he. And everybody's like, okay, well, all right, I can see that, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what it is. It's how you hype a person up in coming out of the draft. It's literally that. I've been hearing that comparison every day of my life since this draft started. He's like Josh Allen in Wyoming. No, he's not, bro. He's not like him at Wyoming. Stop.
Right. Stop it. But it is that time, fellas. We're going to get it in, man. We're going to talk about this draft. So, Carolina. Do you guys remember your order?
I remember my team
one
right now.
I'm not getting the first pick. Okay. So Carolina with the number one pick of the J.U.K Sports Show mock draft. Anyway, no, it's not. All right. The Carolina Panthers select quarterback Bryce Young from Bama.
Woo!
They fulfill that void, that need for a quarterback.
Woo!
There we go, guys.
So I had number 2 Houston Texans. Are we explaining these picks, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. So number 2, I got Tyree Wilson going to the Houston Texans, right? And I think to me this is going to be the most controversial pick of the draft because the Texans can literally go either way. And I think the Texans are going to be the team that set the draft off because if CJ's not picked, I see a team wanting to hop up at 3 and picking him. But the reason why I say Tyree Wilson here is because I don't think that they're quite enamored with these quarterbacks in this draft. I think that they wanted Bryce Young and that was it. And looking at this coaching staff and looking at the Houston Texans just as an organization, they had the number 1 pick before. Everybody said, hey, yo, go pick Reggie Bush. They picked Mario Williams, right? You talk about their coaching staff, Nick Bosa, right? When on the 49ers, he needs a Nick Bosa. They don't have a Nick Bosa. So, Javon Kinlaw, I can go down the list of this coaching staff and what they've done in the past. Tyree Wilson fits the measurables of what they're looking for as a defensive end. So I have him going here and setting that draft off at number 2, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right.
And I think that's me. At 3, right? Yeah, here we go. And so at 3, I don't know, is there echo, fellas?
A little bit.
There's an echo. I was wondering where the echo came from. I was like, man, we sound like Cameron in the recording studio.
Right. But I don't know why, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out in a second. But at number 3, I I got the Arizona Cardinals taking edge rusher from Alabama, Will Anderson. But like you said, this is one of those picks that it can go either way once that Houston Texas pick officially comes in, because I don't see, like, with a team that really needs a quarterback and wants a quarterback at that 3 spot, you can definitely see them jumping and trying to trade. You can get Will, because if a team's moving up, they're moving for a quarterback. So it's like you can move and see what you can get out of that position. It can get a little difficult because the Falcons got 4. So it's like you don't want to do too much where you move yourself out of the position of getting someone. But I got the Arizona Cardinals at 3, picking Will Anderson. Would have been a top 5 draft pick last year had he came out. I think his ability and like his comp to me, because I don't think that he had that freakish ability that Allen had in his prime. I think older Von Miller matches what I see from Will Anderson, where he still has that opinion and that ability to wreck the defense, where he just doesn't have that explosive speed.
Okay. I feel you on that. Who had number 4?
That's me. Oh, that's me. Let's go. Okay, so number 4, I have CJ Stroud. And real quick, number 3 is interesting because Paris Johnson is actually trending as the favorite to be number 3. So that's how weird number 3 is. So
right.
Yeah, but I got CJ Stroud going to the Indianapolis Colts. They need a quarterback, and we've already talked about our love for CJ Stroud. It could be Will Levis here too. I think it just depends on how the draft falls. It could either be Will Levis or CJ Stroud, but they're going to take the best quarterback available. They're not going to go into the season with Gardner Minshew starting, so it's going to be either one of those two. So I got CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. All right. I like it. With the 5th pick in the draft, the Seattle Seahawks are going to select defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, we're looking at a defensive force, guys, who you could actually make the case for him potentially being the best defensive player at his position in the draft, or best defensive player in the draft, depending on your flavor of the flavor of the month, flavor of the week, whatever you want to call it. But if it fills a position of need, I actually did look at the edge position, but like we said, I believe it was you, Ralph, who had Will Anderson going to the Cardinals. Is that correct? Yeah, so Will Anderson wasn't there. So I had the Seahawks picking up Jalen Carter at defensive tackle.
Solid. So yeah, I'm number 6 again. I'm the Lions. See, the Lions, they can go many different directions. They could. I was wrestling with Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon because they do need a cornerback, but they also do need a defensive line, right? And it would behoove them. They would be lucky enough if a team trade up for 3 to get the quarterback. Will Anderson or Jalen Carter could fall to them. And I think that's what they ultimately would want. And that would be the best look for them. But since it didn't happen that way, I have been picking Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, the edge rusher. Okay. He could play. He's multiple. You put him on the defensive end and you could put him at defensive tackle. And a funny stat too. Who's their defensive end now? Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson was the most double team defensive end last year. So he faced the most double teams than anybody in the league. So they need somebody that can help free him up. And I think going defensive end early, because you have a plethora available to you now than you probably would have at that number 18 pick. So I'm going Lucas Van Ness here.
I like that pick.
I do like that pick. And then at 7, we got my Las Vegas Raiders. And this is one of those ones where I'm really curious because I want to see the draft shakes and what players are available at this time. But for the sake of the mock draft, after looking at everything, I just really like. I think it's a position of need. So I'm going to take, with the number 7 pick, the Las Vegas Raiders are taking Will No, Devin Witherspoon. Devin Witherspoon, Illinois. Cornerback. I think his versatility on defense gives us an extra linebacker. Play in the box. He gives us the ability to be a flanker while also being really good in coverage. He can play man to man. Play slot, play 50. I think that's one of the reasons I would prefer him over Christian Gonzalez. But I wouldn't really see why you would. I wouldn't have a problem with either one. And I just really truly hope that there's no Raiders they pass up on Will Levis. That's all.
Oh man. All right. So that was pick 7. So now we're on number 8. Lucky number 8. What does lucky number 8 ball say, everyone? Let's see. Lucky number 8 ball says that the Atlanta Falcons are going to select Nolan Smith, edge from Georgia. So yeah, he's coming off a national title, everyone. And what I like about Nolan Smith is he has agility. He can beat you from the outside. Has good hand technique. He's a good at pursuing the ball. But another thing that I like about him is he's really good, what I consider team defender. It almost sounds like a basketball terminology, right? Team defense and stuff like that. But he plays well when he's in a setting where there's some other good defensive pieces. Now we do know that they did acquire Calais Campbell from the Baltimore Ravens to fulfill a defensive tackle need, an interior defensive tackle need. They do have a cornerback back there. They're trying to continue to bolster that defensive personnel because clearly they're going with Desmond Ritter at the quarterback position just to give him a little more time to see what they can get out of him. I believe he only started 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, last season. So I think Nolan Smith, just to get them some defensive defensive presence, excuse me, and someone who can be a team captain of that defense. I think he fills that spot perfectly for them. So yeah. I got no.
Hey, sorry, I'm trying to fix echo issues.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm not using on mine end. Mine end connected, so no mic connected. And you hear going your end, Tar,
do I hear?
See, you're that was hard.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's fine on his. Why is it messed up on our?
You can hear it on mine, and I can hear it on yours. All right, I want to try something. I'm going to mute my mic, and then Ralph, you speak, and let's see if we hear the echo.
All right. Not really sure what's going on here, but so we're good. Just trying to fix some technical difficulties, y'all.
You mute your mic, and then I'm going to speak.
Oh, wait.
All right. Do you guys hear an echo? No echo? Yeah, I don't hear echo either. Okay. I think we're good. All right. You can. Okay.
All right. Not really sure. I said, all right. So we're good. All right, cool. We gonna go back. We gonna go back in.
All right.
I think we wrapped up number 7 pick already. We got
8.
Which was me, and then you just did 8.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back in at 9, and I will be picking for the Chicago Bears because based on that number 7 pick, I might be a Bears fan, y'all. Hey, make room, boy! I already got my Bears gear and everything, bro. We ready, bro. We ready out.
Turned over, Tar.
And like we talked about with Paris Johnson, I just think that where he's at right now, I think the Bears need. Why's it happening again? But what the Bears need, I think I'm gonna take offensive tackle at number 9. Chicago Bears are taking offensive tackle Paris Johnson. A lot of people had Skoronski at this position, but I like the physical features where Skoronski has them short arms, and I'm not really sure as far as the left tackle where we're going to Like at this spot, I don't want to guard at this spot. I'd rather go tackle. So Paris Johnson at number 9 for the Chicago Bears.
And then you're up next, Tar.
No, you're Eagles. I don't pick till 12.
Oh, you're right. Okay. So the Philadelphia Eagles will pick number 10. Jamal, if you're watching, you're gonna love this pick. I did it for you, big homie. Bijan Robinson, future LaDainian Tomlin-esque running back, continuing to pour resources into your quarterback, Jalen Hurts, into that offense. How you gonna defend the Eagles, man? AJ Brown. I said AJ Smith. Hey, AJ Smith. That's a new nickname for the duo, right? AJ Smith. AJ Brown on the left side. Devontae Smith on the right side. Jalen Hurts, the leader of men. Then you have Bijan Robinson in the backfield. You have one of them tight ends. I forgot his name. Is it Dallas Goedert? He's still there. One of them dudes there. You know what I'm saying? Lance Johnson. He's still around. He ain't retired. You have weaponry all over. You can't mess with the Eagles. I try to tell people they're gonna come back next year. So there we go. Bijan Robinson. Sound like Dijon, however you want to pronounce it. That's how we rolling. Let's move on to my main.
Actually, I really like him, man. Like, I know we always talk about the running back being devalued,
but he's different.
But when sometimes you're just him, man. Like when you have the ability, you have that rare ability where you're RB1 and could be wide receiver too. Like,
right?
It's not too. You don't really find that too often, where he looks fluid in the pass game. Running routes, he don't look like weird out there. Like he looks pretty good, and so I think his ability out the backfield, the vision, and he bounces off people, man. His like missed tackle rate was pretty high, man. So it's like I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I just remember looking like, damn, that's crazy. Especially how many carries that he had too.
Right.
And
he can come in and make an impact on day one.
A1. And so who we got at 11? At 11, we got the Tennessee Titans, and I don't remember who had them. Who had the Titans?
I thought I just went. Who had the Titans? The Titans.
Oh, it was you had the Titans.
Okay. Hold up. 1 second. Who do I got on the Titans at number 11? We got Will Levis.
Yeah.
Quarterback. Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky. So here's the issue with the quarterback position, guys, with the Titans. I thought, is Anthony Richardson too rich here? Right? No pun intended. Is he too rich here? Probably. You know what I'm saying? Do you like any other quarterbacks? But you have Ryan Tannehill, right? Ryan Tannehill, you saw him and you have a ceiling with Ryan Tannehill. Is he really going to be someone there? You have Malik Willis. Is he ready, or did you not give him an opportunity and you want to give somebody else an opportunity? I think you should give Malik Willis an opportunity, but we saw the interaction with him and Mike Vrabel here. So I think that they're going to wind up ultimately going back to the quarterback well, right? Even though I believe next year's draft will bear a little more fruit, but I'm going to go with the quarterback, Will Levis from Kentucky at 11 for the Tennessee Titans, my arch rival from another division.
Right.
All right.
So I got number 12, which is the Houston Texans. I mentioned before, I don't think that they're quite enamored with the quarterbacks in this draft. They can go quarterback at 2. I just don't think that they will. But they actually do need a quarterback, and they shouldn't ignore the quarterback position. And I think if Anthony Richardson falls to them at number 12, you would have to pick them, just off of necessity. And just I think so. Number 12, I got them picking Anthony Richardson. However, I would not be shocked, right? However, I wouldn't be shocked if Hendon Hooker actually to pick here as well. I think that they need a quarterback. They need to pick a quarterback. And at some point in this draft, whether they trade for the rumors Trey Lance or Hendon Hooker, right? But at some point, they do got to pick a quarterback. And since Anthony Richardson's available in our draft, I think he's the best quarterback available. So they have to get him. So Anthony Richardson at number 12 with Houston.
Ralph, you up next? Number 13. I think your mic's muted.
Kanye the Packers, bro.
Yeah, my bad. Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, so we just going right back. Okay, cool. My bad. I'm sorry, guys, for the draft order. We're getting all established. Though we got it. Number 13, Green Bay Packers, wide receiver. Now remember, yes, they do have. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Christian Watson is a wide receiver they selected? So you have Christian Watson there, but remember they moved Alan Lazard, excuse me, is now with the New York Jets and with his quarterback of choice, Aaron Rodgers. So you look at that and you're like, hey, let's get our young quarterback some more wide receiver help. You guys can see a theme here, right? So let's go with a nice slot receiver who could possibly play on the outside. Many believe he's the best wide receiver in the draft. That's Jackson Smith and Jigma from the Wide Receiver University, as we call it. Yeah, we got an Ohio State fan in the building. So I'm going to go with JSN. I like to call him JSN. I don't even like saying his whole name, man. JSN, man. Just score. I don't know what the N will stand for. I'll figure it out, but just score. All right, guys.
I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we was all thinking. I was like, wait. I'm like, PG.
Keep it PG, bro. Keep it PG, bro. I like that pick, bro. I think that obviously I'm a big fan of his, and I think you've seen him, and I believe Tar, that was me and you that was having this conversation where he had two people on the outside of him where he playing in the slot. He just looked comfortable. He put up major numbers out of the slot, and I think he has that quick twitch to where he could get open in that short intermediate open space. So I think that that's a good fit with him because you already have Christian Watson who can take it to the crib, and then you need someone in that intermediate area.
Romeo Dubs, bro. We're not gonna disrespect my boy like that. Romeo Dubs, Nevada.
I like his
name, bro. No.
I like him though. I think that offense can do work. It's just at this point, I think they're setting up with this pick. They would set up Jordan Love where he has this opportunity to take and he's definitely going to get his opportunity this year now that Rodgers is gone and the Packers felt comfortable enough handing him the keys. So I'm just curious to see what happens with this next pick or with this 13th pick. With the Patriots, I got man, this is one of the ones where I really wanted to take a tackle at this spot, but I just don't. I think that the Patriots are, with this talent level, you kind of take at this spot, you kind of take the best available. And I do personally believe the best available at key positions is Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon, going to the Patriots. I think that speed, big corner, speed, press man, can play in zone as well. I seen some growth in him earlier in the season. He was getting cooked, and then later in the season he started locking things down. And so I think that the growth and just that speed alone at that size, playing in a Bill Belichick type defense, I'm curious to see how that would work out. I think he has an amazing upside.
All right. I like it.
All right. So I'm next. I'm number 15. I got the New York Jets. So you just acquire Aaron Rodgers, right? And what does Aaron Rodgers need? He needs some offensive line help. He has all the weapons in the world, but his offensive line is a bit shaky. It can use some work. They drafted Mekhi Becton a few years ago at left tackle, and he's supposed to be a machine, but he can never stay healthy. He broke his kneecap last year in the off, so he's coming back, and he's bigger than ever. So he's supposed to be their franchise left tackle, but I feel like they can move him to the right tackle. Or I like Darnell Wright personally from Tennessee, which you're going to hear his name later. I think Darnell Wright is an all-pro. I think that if you ask me what offensive lineman can make the Hall of Fame, it's going to be him. Darnell Wright's going to be a stalwart at right tackle. However, I think that they want a franchise left tackle because they cannot. It's either going to be Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown. Dwayne Brown's 37 years old. So Mekhi Becton, he can't stay healthy. I think they move Mekhi Becton to the right side and they get Broderick Jones from Georgia and they put him at left tackle. And that Jets offense is going to be a great offense, moving forward for Aaron Rodgers. So Broderick Jones, pick 15 for the Jets.
I like it. So we're at 16. We got the Washington Commanders, and I believe that's Kai. Yep, at 16, Kai, you got Washington Commanders. Your mic's muted.
Man, I wasn't saying anything. I was just talking crap about the other teams. No, I said my interstate rival, the DMV, Washington, D.C. Commanders. So with them, they need offensive tackle help, period, right? But then I also think about the edge help as well. Look at a guy like Chase Young, guys. Hear the news that we're hearing about Chase Young and him not living up to what they thought, right? However, you guys, forced my hand, took a lot of the good offensive tackles off the table, but there is still somebody, and they said not so fast. Peter Skoronski, OT. I believe he plays Northwestern, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I got it. I even have to check on that one. So, yeah, good looking out, though. So I got them taking Peter Skoronski from Northwestern at pick number 16. All right.
And this one, I'm actually really curious to see if this actually happens because I've seen a lot of mock drafts where he's gone to this team, as well as just the history behind it with his dad playing for the same team. So at 17, sure enough, that back end, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers continuing the Joey Porter legacy on that roster and taking Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State cornerback at the pick 17. I think he's a long, athletic, not as fast as I feel like his tape shows he has a lot more speed than what his actual 40 time was. But I think he's a long-range defender, could play in press man while TJ Watt is getting after the quarterback, along with Minkah Fitzpatrick in that back end along with you. So I think that bolstering up that back end and that defense, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 17 taking Joey Porter Jr.
I like it. Family ties, as they call it. All right. So then we have the Lions. That would be you, Tar.
Back on me. Okay. So this is an interesting position with me being with the Lions because right now, this is one of the most heavenly tight end drafts we've seen in recent memory. And the tight end hasn't fallen off the board. And I think this is the ultimate tight end range. I think Kai with the Commanders could have went tight end because you look at who their offensive coordinator is. Yeah. They don't have a Travis Kelce, and I feel like there's a Travis Kelce available. And now you're never going to find Travis Kelce, but there's Dalton Kincaid. There's these guys, and the Lions they did trade T.J. Hawkinson, right? So they did. So I could definitely go tight end here, but I mentioned before with the Lions pick, they do want to go defense. Edge rusher, I picked Lucas Van Ness for their first pick. Haven't gone corner yet for them, which they could go corner at number 6. They could go tight end here, right? Because of tight end, I feel like this is tight end paradise, but I'm gonna keep it safe and I'm gonna go Deonte Banks, cornerback from Maryland. He plays press man. They just traded Jeff Okudah, the former number 2 overall pick from Ohio State. So he was just traded not too long ago. So they need his replacement. They do have Cameron Sutton on the other side of him. They just traded from the Steelers. You need another guy on the other side. You're in a division where you have to play Justin Jefferson. You got to play. We mentioned, some of the Packers receivers. So you're in a very wide receiver heavy division. Now you add DJ Moore into that division. You need a good press man corner. And I think Deonte Banks is one of the best press man corners that we have in this draft. Yes, he has a lot of penalties, but that just shows you how aggressive he is. They need that type of corner. And I kind of liken him to a guy that the Ravens got. if you go with me a little bit, former Chief cornerback, help me with his name, like blanking on the name, but
Peters.
Yeah, Peters, Marcus Peters. I kind of like him a little
Marcus
bit to Marcus Peters,
Yeah.
right? But that's my Deontay Banks comparison, and I like him for the Lions. So pick number 18 is Deontay Banks.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I'm gonna low key call an audible.
All right.
On this next one, just because I think you brought him up, and it made me wait. Why did I put CB? Because he's definitely not a CB. But I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Osiris Torrance. I like Osiris Torrance, but I like Darnell Wright more. And so, for the sake of this draft and as well as the Buccaneers, do they need a quarterback? Yes, but I think that you can try to build your team in other ways and wait for the teams next year play, depending on how bad you guys are, and possibly move up and try to snag one of the quarterbacks for next year. Sorry, y'all. Allergies. Sorry. Allergies been kicking my behind, man. I feel like the pollen's been a lot more aggressive this season. But thank you. I got Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. I think there's been talks of Tristan Wirth moving or staying in the position that he's at. Now that with you trying to rebuild a championship team, I think keeping him on one side and solidifying having your left tackle on the other side, I'm taking Darnell Wright out of Tennessee at that 19 spot. I don't know who's next.
Right, can you hear me?
That's muted.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So I believe that with the 20th pick, because we're the 20th pick back to me, the Seattle Seahawks continue the trend, ladies and gentlemen, to address defense. And they're going to do so by getting Myles Murphy, not Eddie Murphy, not any other Murphy related. We're going with Myles Murphy, man. And you're going to have to travel miles around this dude to get around him, because Myles Murphy, he's going to give them that defensive edge, that defensive presence, excuse me, not edge, because not edge, but yeah, that they need. So I'm going to go with Myles Murphy for the Seahawks, and we're going to continue to go with the defensive theme here. All right.
Who's I like 20. What we got at 20? No, that was 20. And at 21, we got 20.
I got 21. Okay, so this is the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm so tempted here to take Jahmyr Gibbs because they're having contract problems with their current running back, Austin Eckler, right? He's a they need a wide receiver, they do, but he's the best of both worlds. I think he's an Alvin Kamara mixed with, so he's a guy that you can line up and you can pull it all over and use him as a running back. But again, with the NFL draft, you can always find a running back, right? Always find a running back. And I think it's in this type of draft, you kind of have to go with your draft board. And I think later on in the draft, the wide receiver market is going to wear down a little bit, and you're not going to be able to find this next guy. So with this pick, I'm going to go Jordan Addison from USC. And yeah, it's just a simple fact that the Chargers last year, they had injuries all over the place at wide receiver. And with Justin Herbert's development, you need a guy that is healthy, that's consistent, and that he can kind of grow old with, right? Keenan Allen's in his 30s now. Mike Williams has always been hurt. So you need a guy in the slot that you could throw the ball deep to, throw the ball short, intermediate routes to. I think Jordan Addison's the perfect fit. Although I do love the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs could definitely be the pick here, I will go Jordan Addison because I do think you can circle back and get a running back kind of similar to him, right, later on in the draft. But right now it's Jordan Addison.
All right.
I like that pick. That's actually my favorite wide receiver in the draft. I know we all got ours, but that's mine.
He's good, but he's good, and I think his ceiling also with him.
Yeah.
You see those attributes. I watched a lot of Steve Smith's evaluation of the receivers. He nails them pretty well. I mean, shoot, he's a Hall of Famer, but not just because you play doesn't always mean some people are good talent evaluators. But he's actually good with it. So
those are facts.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go to 22.
And then at 22,
that's me.
It is you.
Yes. All right. So you're gonna think that we're from Baltimore, how we raving about the latest product, word to Drake. But so we I had to do that album line, man. But and plus Odell posted on his timeline. But with pick 22, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting do you have any more of those receivers? Zay Flowers. Wide receiver from Boston College, man. So Zay Flowers, you guys all know I like Zay Flowers. Let me count the ways. So first, what I believe is Zay Flowers is he's the best separator in this draft class, right? He plays bigger than his size, right? You don't have to worry about contested catches because he's always open. He runs routes at every single level, and he has the speed to beat defensive backs vertically. So when people talk about, the big bodied contested catch guy, no, I want someone who can play in space. And Todd Monken wants someone who can play in space. You have Odell Beckham on a 1-year deal. You got rid of Hollywood Brown. You still technically need a replacement for Hollywood Brown, right? But I actually have them trading this pick. This pick was only made if they don't trade the pick. The reason why I have them trading this pick is if guys, right? They acquire a DeAndre Hopkins and they get an established number one receiver, just like Shady McCoy would always say on TV all the time. Why don't you give him Marty Hill? Get him a number one. Give him a number one. Yeah. If you get him an established number one receiver, like we've been preaching since we were blue in the face for the last 4 years, DeAndre Hopkins would fill that void and then go with the defensive back. If you had a Banks or a Porter on the table, or potentially trade back and get a guy who I like in Emmanuel Forbes. But if they stay at pick 22, and they need a receiver, and we see the run on receivers like Tar just said, Jordan Addison, he selected him before. The Ravens might be like, okay, let's go grab our guy. So I like Zay Flowers. He has that nice edge that they like, and I think he fits. And he's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, so there's that Florida connection with a quarterback, Lamar Jackson. So that's why I got the Ravens picking at 22, and they'll be raving about the latest product. All right.
And at the 23rd pick, I got the Minnesota Vikings selecting Quentin Johnson out of TCU, wide receiver. And Tar, like we talked about, I think that when you have an established number one, I see Quentin Johnson being able to step in as a number two and being able to flourish at a high level. And I think I'm curious to see what happens at the quarterback spot past the Kirk Cousins, because eventually I just think that you got to move on from him. But I want to see how they take as far as the passing game and what quarterback takes over the helm at that point. But I think getting two studs on the outside, where I don't think Quentin Johnson ceiling is as high as a Justin Jefferson and what he's been able to do since he's been in the league. But I think being able to contribute at a high level where you actually got to pay attention to him, and him being able to take advantage of single coverage where everybody's going to shade to that other side. I think Quentin Johnson being able to step in and contribute at a high level for the Minnesota Vikings.
Good pick. So I'm the number 24 Jacksonville Jaguars. So initially I had Darnell Wright going here. So since Darnell Wright is no longer available, I'm thinking about what could the Jaguars use and what do they need? Well, yes, they do need a right tackle. So that's initially why Darnell Wright was mocked there, because they did lose their starting right tackle. And then I'm thinking, they can use a cornerback too. What cornerbacks are available? But for me, I'm thinking, who's their coach? Doug Peterson. What did Doug Peterson have that he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles? 2 tight end set, right? We have not picked a tight end yet. So Dalton Kincaid, Utah. He fits well with Evan Ingram, and he fits that Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert type of mode that he had with the Eagles, and I think that's effective. And you got to get that young boy a bunch of weapons. Trevor Lawrence. So Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah.
All right,
I like that
I
one.
like it.
And then at 25, we got
25.
the New York Giants, and that is
I believe that's me, right?
yes, sir.
So I had the New York Giants with pick 25 selecting Emmanuel Forbes. Reason being is because they were, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, guys, dead last or close to last in takeaways. So there you go. Get someone who had 6 pick sixes and just kind of move on from there.
And then that was 25, right? So at 26,
that was 25.
at 26, I got the Cowboys. I want to change this pick because I'm not sure if Steve Avila will last that long.
Michael Mayer, do it.
Yeah, that's where I was. That's exactly where I was going because when I originally did the pick, I thought Steve Avila, but then like after watching some more film and seeing other people's mocks, I was like, yeah, I think the tight end Michael Mayer, the tight end. I forget what school he went to.
Notre Dame.
That's what. Yeah, he was the one. I like him. I like him a lot, man. I think that being able losing Dalton Schultz, I think he'll be able to step in day one, be your day one starter, and get the job done. At 27, we got the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So during the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes as well, and he went on today talking about how much he loved them. So I don't even know if they're going to have this pick. Maybe not. So it could be something different. But right now, for mock draft purposes, I have them going Jalen Hyatt. I wanted Josh Downs here so bad because he kind of fits what they need as a slot wide receiver. But when you think about it, Jalen Hyatt had the most yards per catch. Well, he's going to end up having the most yards per catch in this draft, like as a wide receiver. Josh Allen likes to spread the ball. He's fast. He's a fast slot. So he kind of fits. He fits Josh Allen's arm. So Jalen Hyatt is a better fit, or the name wise is a better fit. But it wouldn't shock me if this pick was Josh Downs either. But I'm going Jalen Hyatt right here.
Okay, I like that pick.
Up next, we got Kai.
All right. So for the pick 28, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting Jahmyr Gibbs, running back. We're monitoring that Joe Mixon situation. Are they going to let Joe Mixon go? I know there was people talking about, Ezekiel Elliott, people are considering him washed now and all that other kind of stuff. I don't really like to call people washed, even though I do on the side, but so I don't think he's going to wind up. I don't think he's going to wind up in in Ohio. Where do they live? Where do they play at, Ralph? I'm like, Ohio. Yeah. So I got Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Bengals, man. So
and then at the 29th pick, we got the New Orleans Saints.
So that's
you, bro.
Okay.
That's me.
Yeah.
So So looking at the theme of the Saints, they did lose some key defensive linemen in free agency. Marcus Davenport, they lost. I'm not saying their defensive tackle's name. He has one of those strong Wakanda African names. Not gonna say it, but they did lose him. And so I have Brian Breesy from Clemson going there. He fits their mold. He's big in the middle. He could play defensive end and he could play defensive tackle, which fits both needs for them. Very versatile guy. You could slide him in next to Cam Jordan and wreak havoc on the AFC South. So Brian Breesy.
Okay. All right. And then at the 30th pick, was that me that had the Eagles or was that Kai that had the Eagles? Oh, that was me that had the Eagles.
Yeah, that was you. I think I had my last pick. Yeah, my last pick was the Bengals. Mm-hmm.
And then this is one that I like other people at this spot, but I'm not sure if they could play in the style of defense. Because I love Felix as a pass rusher. I like Will McDonald, but I'm not sure if they fit that Eagles defensive spot. Could you see one of them being taken by the Eagles with this pick?
I got Kasia Kanansi from Pitt.
Kalijah Kanansi.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I got. But
yeah, Kalijah.
Oh, yeah, I do like him because Kalijah Kanansi, he's in that they got him I hate when they compare people to like all-time greats, but I do really like him, but they keep comparing this this dude because of his build in the school to Aaron Donald. And I'm like, I think that he could be dominant at that position, at that height, because he plays with a lot of leverage and strength.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna. I can see that, and I'm gonna say that Philadelphia Eagles taking Kalijah Kancey because I just don't see him sliding out the first round.
Okay, so I have the Chiefs, and I had him getting the defensive end from Northwestern. I can't say his name, so I'm not just because I can't say his name. I'm picking somebody else. Will McDonald, defensive end from Iowa State. But I had that defensive end from Northwestern off the rip just because he's a Kansas City product. And I actually, if I had it my way, I think the Chiefs trade up for Zay Flowers. But since I know defensive end is going to be something that they need because they got rid of Frank Clark, the kid from Northwestern would have been a great product for them because he's a Kansas City native and all that other stuff. And it would be a great story. But Will McDonald did have a lot of sacks too, and he's a sack artist as well. So I'm going to go Will McDonald. And the other guy, I just can't say his name, and I want to draft him, but I just don't know how to say his name. So that's
we got to get nicknames up here.
One of the things to where, like, it would be messed up, right? If the commissioner said a name that he can't pronounce, how would you feel, right? Like, yeah, bro. So I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna try it.
That is funny.
All right.
That's funny because, like, I was waiting to see for this draft to see how you said his name.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that to myself, bro. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh man, you gotta try.
I don't need that stress in my life. That's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely was curious to see how you will pronounce this name.
Right.
We don't really have much time left. I don't know what you guys got going on, but I was gonna pretty much end this stream, start another one, and do quick hitters just for the sake of having content to post for the week. Y'all cool with that?
I'm down with it.
Right on. So make sure you go and follow us. Stay tuned. We about to come right back at you. Make sure you go on Instagram. Type in that search bar at J.U.K. Sports Show. Go on YouTube. Type in at J.U.K. Media. On Facebook, the He Say She Say channel. He Say She Say all one word. We will be coming at you also starting next week. We will be putting out audio only episodes as well. Coming at you on every Monday. We'll see a new episode every Monday. And we're coming right back at you. So stay tuned.